So I have to make a little room here. These podiums are old school. They were not made for an iPad, okay? I have to go back to when, well, first of all, I want to thank the Board of Control and especially thank President Mraz for inviting me here. I'll go back to when he and I first met. He came down to Austin, Texas, and he visited that Extreme Blue Innovation Lab, and I was so proud of it. We'd been running it for a while, and it consists of 6 different groups with 3 computer science students on each group, and we had an MBA there, and we give them an innovative project, and at the end of the summer, they have to identify what's the real business value of what we're doing, show some results, we take them to Armonk, they present to our CEO, which, by the way, we have 440,000 employees. Having a student present to our CEO, pretty big thing, right? So I'm like, oh, this is the most unique lab ever. And he goes, oh yeah, we have that. Okay, so that's how we first started our relationship. I will say that there have been some rumors as to why I was chosen to speak here today. The first rumor, let me put a few of these to the side. The first was that it's just because I'm friends with Dr. Robert Warrington. There was another rumor that it was because I had met President Mraz at a rave. There was another rumor that I was simply just found wandering Franklin Square, okay? Truth be told, it goes back several months ago. I had put my name in a sorting hat, okay? Yeah, we're talking Harry Potter sorting hat here, right? I put my name in, and when it came time for me to put on my sorting hat, I have to make clear, I'm a Michigan boy, born in Traverse City, but I live in Austin, Texas, right? Home of the University of Texas. Well, I put on this sorting hat, and I'm thinking, not UT, not UT. And the voice in the hat said, are you sure? You could be famous. And I'm thinking, oh, grit my teeth, not UT. And finally it said, Michigan Tech. And I'm like, yes! Any school that has a husky for a mascot, give it up, right? MIT, they got a beaver. A beaver. I have heard, under good authority, that when it comes time to really cold weather, food being scarce, a husky can feed off beavers, okay? That's the way that I heard it. Yeah. So, he asked me to come and speak, and I started to think, ooh, what are the great things that I can give these young minds? And I thought, the 12 steps to success. But then I realized you can Google that yourself. I thought, oh, how to survive a zombie apocalypse. I can only say one thing, good luck, okay? What I came down to is, as a Michigan boy, I'm just a Michigan boy done well. What do I have to offer you? What type of insight do I have to offer you? And all I can really do is step back and tell you what worked for me and what I wish I had known when I started out. And I did start out washing dishes, making pizza, I hauled ice, I pumped gas, I did all of these other things that I will tell you about, and then when I looked back, I say, wow, I have presented to some of the most powerful CEOs in the world. I presented to governors, I presented to royalty, king and queen. I've been on radio, television, I'm in the Screen Actors Guild. I've been on stage with Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, and I worked on that innovation lab. I am now helping run strategy for a $104 billion company with 440,000 people, and I'm not even finished yet. Right? All starting out at some pretty humble roots. So what I decided is to tell you the story of how I sort of got here, and then again, what I wish someone had told me along the way. Like any good story, it starts at the very, very beginning, and so the fact at this point is, let me tell you, spoiler alert, it's about finding my passion. So I'm not even going to use this thing. Let me step back. I sort of know it by heart because it was my life. So I lived in this small town, and I mean really small. Born in Traverse City, about 5 years old, moved down to this small town. One stoplight. I called my family recently to verify. Still one stoplight, still one stoplight. Right? About a mile away, there's a stop sign. In the middle, few businesses, very few. There's a bakery, there's a True Value hardware store, there's a Five and Dime. Of course, there's American Legion post. Where else are you going to have wedding reception? Bring a hot dish, right? Yeah, those Michigan people explain it to the rest. And so it's a pretty small town. And In the stoplight side of town, my father took our garage, ripped it out, added on to it, made a radio and TV business. From the time that he could say, get your butt down here at 6 in the morning, I started working with my dad. And I hung out on the bench, and all of these devices were there, especially my favorite, the oscilloscope. I could touch it when I was 8, and it made, oh, by the way, for those that don't know, an oscilloscope, it's that thing in sci-fi movies, it's green, it's there, it makes the squiggly line, that's an oscilloscope, okay? Engineering students explain it to the rest. So I played with this thing, and I learned, and I learned, and I learned, and I thought this is the coolest thing on earth, and I got really good. There was another aspect of it, is that it's farm town, and these were vacuum tube televisions. So the farmers would come in, and they would have these vacuum tubes, and they would bring a whole bag of them, and I would check them for them for free. I would test them for engineering people, grid leakage, second anode leakage as well. So I would check these things, and I'm like this big. But then they'd go and look at a new TV, or they'd look at something new, and that's when I turned on. I'd go out, and these are farmers, very simple farmers, and I would say, oh my gosh, this cathode ray tube has a darker phosphor. Therefore, it's got a wider gamut, and it will give you much deeper, richer blacks in your pictures. And I got them excited. They had no idea what I was talking about. They got excited. And then I'd say, whoa, coax cable, definitely over that flat cable. It's got electromagnetic interference shielding because I'm this big, and they were getting excited, and I thought, this is so cool, and I loved it. After that, by the way, while I'm doing this, I worked at more pizza joints, I worked at more restaurants, I washed more dishes. I ended up, I moved to Florida, I scraped barnacles off boats, I worked with more restaurants, more washing dishes, got tired of that, moved to Chicago, found a friend, slept on his father's couch in a serious ghetto apartment, and I mean ghetto apartment, hear gunshot at night, kind of ghetto apartment. His dad was an alcoholic chain smoker, fun place to live. Learned how to take a Chicago bus. I'm a small town boy. That was nerve-wracking, right? Found a place where I was working on an assembly line. I was soldering circuit boards with hundreds of other people on the assembly line. Worked bank security systems, put in vault doors. Then one day the big break came, and someone came and said, hey, you know a lot about electronics. IBM is hiring. And I thought, wow, this is cool. Who's IBM? But I spent my last $45 and I bought a bad jacket. And I don't mean bad, I mean, oh, it was bad. It was really bad. And I took the interview with IBM. I walked in and I was so scared to death because, by the way, this was, I'll go all the way back 70s. And I had some bad John Travolta pants on. Now, those were bad, okay? We're talking some serious flair. Some of you people out there, you think you got platforms? Oh, no. I have platforms. Let me tell you, Elton John were jealous of these things. You can put goldfish in the bottom for those that were there and know what I'm talking about, right? So I go in, and I'm all that until I walked in. I saw suits and ties. I saw people that, oh man, I am way over my head. This place is incredibly professional. They took me in a little room, and they sat me down with a circuit board, and they said, hey, do you know what this is all about? Like, you want me to read resistor codes? Yeah, I can do that. And they said, oh, can you draw a bridge rectifier circuit? And I was like, give me the parts, I'll build you one in 20 minutes. I was all cocky, not really. I knew I was doing, but I was still scared to death. And then they brought in an oscilloscope. And they're, oh, do you know how to use this? And I swear it was like a good friend walked into the room. It just was suddenly warm, and I was at one, and I said, yeah, I can use this thing. And I did, and the next thing, it was a blur. They hired me. I was really surprised, seriously. They hired me, and I bought real suits. Went to IBM Basics class, learned and learned and learned, and never stopped studying. My wife used to drive me around the city when we went clubbing. Seriously, and she would read maintenance and engineering manuals to me along the way. Learn, study, study, study. Went to this basics class, succeeded. I came out, I was 19 years old, and I was working on some of the biggest mainframes in the world. These are machines you can walk inside. I was super whiz kid, wonder boy. I thought I had found it all. I mean, I really thought I was top of the world. This is it. People were saying, oh, you are the best. I'm going to stick here the rest of my life. I am going to be the best engineer ever. I have found my passion. In the words of Kanye, it's like, I was touching the sky, baby. I was touching the sky, okay? I thought that was it. I found my place, and then I found out that wasn't it. I found out, for you gamers out there, the cake is a lie, okay? Portal people explain it to the others, right? So then, I thought I found my passion until one day this person came up to me and he said, hey, can you tell my customer, this is a customer executive, by the way, his name is on the front of about 2,500 stores in the United States still to this day. His dad founded the company. And they said, hey, can you present this new thing to him, this IBM PC? I'm like, well, no, because I'm a mainframe person and that is a toy, and I'm way too big for that. But then I said, okay. I took it apart, put it back together. I read every manual, I learned everything. I figured out this machine inside and out, and it got me excited. Big day comes, I'm going to present to this executive who, by the way, said, why are we buying $1 million computers when we're in this business, a retail business? So I was already going against the odds. Walk down this long hallway. This is the day of the presentation, the big thing. And I'm an engineer, carrying an oscilloscope, carrying a tool bag. In this hallway, I swear it started to shrink as I went down there. This was like a Stephen King novel. Everything was brick. And at the very end, only this executive had wood doors. Scared the heck out of me. Went behind there, set up, I'd have everything in my head. When he sat down, I just gushed with all this information. And I got this person in the retail business as a senior executive, excited about technology. I got a buzz on, folks. I got a tingle like you would not believe. That's what I call the big tingle. That's when I realized that was my passion. That's when I realized this is the thing that really made me tick. And after that, you want to talk about my life a blur? People came in and said, oh, can you talk to my customer? Can you talk to this group of people? Can you talk to this auditorium full of people? Oh, can you fly over here and do this? And 38 countries later, and 4 million miles and more incredibly things. I mean, this was awesome things that I got to experience, and it was all because I found my passion. I didn't know I was looking for it. I didn't know that I was looking for the big tingle. You now know to look for that big tingle, to find the thing that makes you passionate. Because when you do, are you going to hit roadblocks? Oh, there will be some tough times. You will want to jump ship. The grass will be greener on the other side. You're going to hate everything you're doing. If you find the thing that makes you passionate, those things become a lot easier. They're still hard, but they're a lot easier than they were. So that's the big thing. I found my passion. I never stopped learning. To this day, I'm working on bleeding edge technology. I was working on bleeding edge technology 34 years ago when I started. So I let the word out 34 years ago. So yeah, I'm 37 now, just all that. I colored myself so I would look like sort of esteemed up next to the rest of the folks. No, seriously. I'm not offending here, no way. So I found my passion. I found what made me fascinated. I never stopped being fascinated about it. So that's my first word of advice. If I can give you some, find a thing that makes you tingle and then make it go viral. I don't know if you realize this, think about it. You are the first generation in the history of mankind to have been born on the web. Almost every person in this room was probably clicking a mouse by the time they could click a mouse. You are on the web. It is a natural extension of your arm. There are billions and billions of connected devices. There are billions and billions of connected people, and you have to determine what to do with it. There is nobody better suited than you because it is such an extension of your life. Use the connectedness and the collaboration. Somebody in this room is going to work with somebody else on the other side of the world that they have never met, and together you'll create some robotic device that's able to replace an organ it could change a child's life. Somebody in this room is going to hook up with somebody else on the other side of the room, not a total hookup, but somebody in this room is going to hook up with somebody else on the other side of the world, and you're going to determine that, hey, here's an analytic routine that can find a cure for a disease in big data. Somebody in this room will, I'll say hook up again. Hey, go for it if that's the way you're going, if that's how you play. So somebody on the other side of the earth and you're going to hook up and you're going to find out how to grow tall timber in arid deserts because of that connectedness. Somebody in this room is going to work with someone else on the other side of the earth to create a steel that's so hard, Wolverine's coming in for replacement parts, okay? You know what I'm talking about? Harder than whatever that steel is that goes through his body today. So take your passion and make it viral. And the last thing I would say is I'm just looking at song lyrics. I'm thinking, when you give a commencement speech, by the way, you want to say this one thing, it is so profound that it sticks with everybody. I want it to stick with you a year from now, a decade from now. What is that one thing? So I started to think about it. I said, well, let's see. We could go with March to Your Own music, unless it's dubstep, because that really looks silly, okay? Don't go there. Then I was thinking, I heard a Red Hot Chili Peppers song, and it said, life is not a read-through. And I thought, oh, that's brilliant, but who understands Red Hot Chili Peppers songs enough to know that's really what he said? I wasn't sure, so I backed off on that one, right? And so I started to finally get down to, there was a song that I knew a long time ago, and it said, these are the good old days, and it always stuck with me. Because if you look at our parents' generation, somebody's saying, oh, those were the good old days. And our grandparents' generation said that. You go back to Plato, he droned on and on about the golden years, right? Oh, the good old days. Well, wait a minute. Here's some logic here. If those were the good old days before them, and those were the good old days, and those were the good old days, therefore, every single day of our lives is the good old days. When you hear the term, those were the good old days, think, no, these are the good old days. And it is absolutely, positively true. Search out your passion. Find out what makes you tingle. Share that with others. Go viral. Never stop learning. Never stop being fascinated by what you do. And looking at the smiling faces out there for you, especially you graduates, remember that every day of your lives is the good old days, especially today. I congratulate you. Thank you.